Hello everyone. In this session, I'm going to discuss about the conjugate beam method, which is a part of Module 3 syllabus. In the previous session, we had discussed about the moment area method. That method is used to find the slopes and deflections at various sections in the beams. So here the conjugate beam method means it's a conjugate beam is imaginary beam. Firstly, we'll discuss about some brief introduction of this method. So the first point is the conjugate beam method is another valuable alternative method for determining slopes and deflections in beams. So I said that the main aim of this method also to find the slopes and deflections in the beams. The conjugate beam also may also be referred as imaginary beam. That's what I said that the conjugate beam is an imaginary beam. In this method, the actual supports are replaced by conjugate supports to produce the imaginary beam. So when the conjugate beam is an imaginary beam, how to produce the conjugate beam? The conjugate beam can be produced by replacing the actual supports by conjugate supports. I will explain the what exactly the conjugate supports and I will explain the conjugate beam also. We'll move on to the next slide. In the next slide, I have shown what exactly the conjugate beam and real beam. Now you can see this in the slide. We have the real beams. Here I have shown the real or original beams. And here we have the conjugate beam. So in the point number 2 in the introduction, I said that the real supports. Now you can see that this is a real beam, the simply support beam or a original beam. So this will be converted to conjugate beam. So you can see this simple support, this is also simple support. So when you are converting that into conjugate beam method, conjugate beam, so the simple supports will remain as a simple supports only. But here you can see that here we have a hinge support and roller support in the real beam. And here the hinge support or pinned support will remain as a pinned support in the also conjugate beam, and roller support will become a roller support. Again, here you can see that there is a difference. Here in the real beam, we have a cantilever beam I have taken. Here the fixed support is there. Here is the free end. This is a free end, and this is a fixed support. So you can say this is converted to conjugate beam. Conjugate beam, wherever we have a fixed support, that will become a free end. Wherever we have the free end, that will become a fixed support. And again, one more beam I have given the here example as. So here you can see that hinge support is there, a simple support and a free end. So again, you can see that same beam I have written here, but with the replacing the conjugate supports. So all these supports are the real supports, actual supports that are replaced by the conjugate supports. Whenever you can see that here we have the hinge support. Again, hinge supports will remain as a hinge support, and again you have, since we have a free end here, so this will become a simple support. This support, simple support will become a internal hinge, and again we know that this free end will become fixed end. So in overall, I can say that in the real beams, wherever we have the simple supports, will be the simple supports. Even in the conjugate beam method beam also, wherever a pinned will become pinned, roller will become roller only, and only the fixed will become free, and free will become fixed support in the conjugate beam. And here we have the overhang, single overhang. Wherever we have single overhang, so the simple support will become an intermediate hinge, and this free end become fixed support, and hinge will be the same as a hinge. So here you can see the real or original beams are converted into conjugate beam. Conjugate beam is imaginary beam. So now we'll see that what is the application of producing the conjugate beam method to find the slopes and deflections. We'll move on to the introduction part again. So here you can see that in the conjugate beam, which is loaded by M by A diagram. So in the previous session also we have discussed about this term, that's M by A diagram. M is bending moment value divided by flexural rigidity. Suppose a simple support beam with have different EA values. So corresponding bending moment diagram divided by EA is the M by A diagram. So and again we have to find the shear force diagram and bending moment diagram at different sections in the imaginary beam or conjugate beam that will give the slopes and deflections in the original beam. These concepts, the third point we'll discuss in the theorem 1, theorem 2. We'll move on to theorem 1, theorem 2. Here we have two theorems which is supporting the conjugate beam method. That is, the first theorem says that the shear force at any section on the conjugate beam is equal to slope or rotation at that section in the corresponding real beam. So you can say that. So I will again move on to I will explain that the shear force is V here. Theta is the rotation, where theta is the slope or rotation. So I will again move on to that the same diagram which I discussed here. So now the theorem 1 says that this is a simply supported beam. So now I wanted to find the slope at this section. So to find the slope at this section, first we have to convert this real beam into conjugate beam method. Conjugate beam. So conjugate beam is loaded by M by A diagram. So after finding the conjugate beam, so we have to find the bending moment diagram. So bending moment diagram, after finding the bending moment diagram, for divide by EA value, M by A diagram. Whatever the M by A diagram, that will be the loading for the conjugate beam method. So I will find the slope, shear force at this section. The shear force at this section is equivalent to slope in the original beam. That's what the theorem 1 says that. So if I wanted to find the slope and deflection at this section in the original beam, so I have to first convert that original beam into conjugate beam. Then I have to take the M by A diagram. Then I have to take the section exactly at the same place. Then I have to take the shear force and bending moment values. The shear force and bending moment value at this section is equivalent to slope and deflection at this section. So in the conjugate beam, whenever we are finding the shear force at that section, it will give the slope at the same section in the real beam. Suppose if I am finding the deflection at this section, so suppose if I want to find the deflection at this section, right? So I have to take the bending moment at this section. So the bending moment at this section will give the deflection in the original beam. We'll look into these concepts in the problems. You can see that that's what this theorem 1 says, that the shear force at any section on the conjugate beam is equal to slope. Suppose I have the conjugate beam. This is my conjugate beam. So I am finding the shear force at this section in the conjugate beam. Whatever the shear force at this section will be equal to slope theta in the same section in the original beam. So this is my original beam. Suppose if I wanted to find the theta here, so first I have to convert this beam to conjugate beam, and suppose wherever I wanted to find the theta value are exactly same position, same section. So I have to find the shear force. So shear force at this section will give the slope at the same section in the real beam. That's what the meaning of this statement. The shear force at any section in the conjugate beam is equal to rotation or slope in the corresponding point on the real beam. This is the corresponding point. So these two are the corresponding point in the real beam. This is the real beam. That's why V it means shear force in the conjugate beam, that's equal to theta at the same section in the real beam. So theta is slope or rotation. So now we'll move on to theorem 2. So theorem 2 says that the bending moment at any section on the conjugate beam is equal to deflection at the corresponding section on the real beam. The same diagram I can use it. So this is my conjugate beam. Now I am finding I am finding the bending moment at this section. So this will give, if I find the bending moment at this section, this will give deflection in the real beam in the same section. So this is my real beam. So again, at the corresponding, suppose from here to is 0.5 meter, here to here also 0.5 meter. So whatever the bending moment I am finding at this section, so you can see that the bending moment at any section on the conjugate beam, I am taking this section. You can take any section along the beam. This whatever the bending moment at this section is equal to the deflection at the corresponding section on the real beam. So this is my conjugate beam. So whatever the bending moment here, that's equal to y, that is deflection in the corresponding section in the real beam. This is real beam. So this is how we can find the slopes and deflections. So now we'll move on to the procedure. The procedure for finding the slope and deflections. So calculate the reactions and bending moments for real beam. First we have to calculate the reactions and we have to write the bending moments for the real beam, whatever the beam is given. Draw the BMD for the real beam. So its actual beam, we will write the bending moment diagram. So BMD divided by EA values will give the M by EA diagram. So whatever the M by EA diagram, that will be the loading diagram for the conjugate beam method, conjugate beam. Calculate the shear force bending moment for the conjugate beam. So once we obtain the conjugate beam, we have to calculate the shear force and bending moment. The shear force in the conjugate beam will give the slope at the same corresponding section in the real beam, and bending moment in the conjugate beam will give the deflection in the original beam. So the same, the meaning of these two will be, just so I explained that shear force, I calculate the slope at different points. So shear force in the conjugate beam will give the slope in the corresponding section in the real beam. Again, bending moment in the conjugate beam will give the deflection in the corresponding section in the real beam. So this is the procedure. We'll move on to, again, I will again explain this real beam and a conjugate beam. Simple supports always remain the simple supports even in the conjugate beam. And again here, in support, again in support, same in support, roller. Then again, here we have the cantilever. You can say fixed support will become a free end will become a fixed support. Again, single hangover, singly hangover simple support beam. So here we have the pin support, pin is there, simple support here will become, since we have here free end, that will become a fixed support. So whatever this intermediate joint is there, that will become internal hinge. Again, you can see that slope in a slope or rotation in real beam. Suppose if I wanted to find slope or rotation at any section in the real beam, so shear force in the conjugate, this is the conjugate beam for this real beam. So shear force at the corresponding sections in the conjugate beam. Right, again, so deflection in the real beam, I wanted to find the deflection here, I wanted to find the deflection at this section. So for that, bending moment in the conjugate beam, so I have to find the bending moment these sections. The bending moment at these sections will give the deflections at these sections. The shear force at these sections will give the slopes at these sections. Now we'll move on to some numerical problems. So problem number 1, calculate slope and deflection at free end using conjugate beam method. So here the problem is given, that is cantilever beam, right? Length L, A constant, subjected to point load P. So this is our real beam, right? So you can see that whatever the cantilever beam, whatever the beam is given, that is our real beam or actual beam, right? Once we have the real beam, first we have to write the bending moment diagram. So the bending moment diagram for this, we know that bending moment at A, the fixed support, is P into L, and this is always, we know the signs and all. So this, suppose if I'm taking section here, so this is acting clockwise right of the section. So you can see that this will be bending moment signals, bending moment signs. So it's a negative, right? So if it's section here clockwise, here anti-clockwise positive. So here anti-clockwise, here clockwise is negative. Suppose if the load is acting here, so this will be acting something like this about the section. So negative. So negative bending moment P into L is the my bending moment diagram. So and again it's a point load, therefore it's a linear variation of the bending moment diagram. So once we get the bending moment diagram, so we have to draw the conjugate beam. I already explained that the fixed support here will become a free end, and free end will become a fixed support. You can see that now this is a conjugate beam. So fixed became free, free became fixed. So that's the conjugate beam. Then again, so after finding that, here you can see that, so whatever the bending moment diagram I have written here. That bending moment diagram is also called as a M diagram. So now once we find the conjugate beam, we have to apply the load on that. So the load on the conjugate beam is always a M by A diagram. You can see that here it's written here M by A diagram. So the load on the conjugate beam. So the same conjugate beam I have written here. You can see that a free end and a fixed support. Right now, whatever the BMD is there, write the BMD here. Same BMD is written. You can see that the BMD is written. So we have the BMD PL is the highest intensity. That PL divided by corresponding EA value, fractional rigidity, that will become M by A diagram. M is bending moment value, PL that divided by EA is constant. PL by A is your bending moment M by A diagram. So this is a loading on the conjugate beam. Now it's a negative bending moment diagram. That's why it's acting upward direction. So everywhere you can see that, right? So that's acting upward direction. So this is negative. Here it's I have shown somewhere. So this is called as a M by A diagram. For all the problems, we do the same procedure. First, whatever the problem is given, write the BMD. So BMD divided by corresponding EA value will be the M by A diagram, and draw the conjugate beam. The M by A diagram is the loading on the conjugate beam. Now this is centroid. Now according to the conjugate beam method, the theorem 1 says that I wanted to find the slope. You can see that slope and deflection at free end using the conjugate beam method. We have to find the slope and deflection here. So the deformation will be something like this. So I wanted to find the deflection YB here and also slope here at the tangent here. The maximum slope and deflection occurs at the free end. So we know that conjugate theorem 1, it says that slope at B means here, the real beam, slope at B is equal to, slope at B in the real beam is equal to shear force at B in the conjugate beam. So I said that in the statement 1, suppose if I wanted to find the slope at B, I have to take the shear force at the corresponding section in the conjugate beam. So I have to take the shear force at this section. So shear force at this section, you see the left up forces, right down forces. Now we have the left up forces. We know that shear force is left up. Yeah. You see that. So I wanted to find the shear force at this support at B because I wanted to find the slope at B. Therefore, I have to take the shear force about this section, corresponding section. So shear force at that section is, so whatever the load which is acting left of the section. Now you can see that all the load is acting upward direction and also it's negative because of negative bending moment diagram. So what is the load which is acting left of the section? So you can see that slope at B in real beam is equal to shear force at B in the conjugate beam. So I'm taking here is a theta B. Theta B is equal to whatever the force which is acting left of the section. So left of the section, what is the force? This is the total force. So half, this is a triangular, half into base is L into PL by AE, PL by EI. So it's a negative again. So you can see that theta B is equal to half into L is total length minus PL by EI because it's acting upward. So simplify this, that will be the slope at B. So that's very simple. Just taking the shear forces on left of the section. And again, deflection at B. The same, so at free end, we have to find the deflection here. To find the deflection, again, take the section, corresponding section in the conjugate beam. This is a corresponding section in the conjugate beam. So now, whatever the loading is there, you take the moment of this loading about this B, that will give the deflection in the original beam, right? So I said that in the second theorem of conjugate beam. So the bending moment of M by A diagram will give the deflection in the original beam. Now you can see that M by A diagram we have, so bending moment of M by A diagram, something like this. The whole bending moment, that is a loading into distance x bar, that is a bending moment. So bending moment is this bending moment of this M by A diagram about this B will give the slope in the original beam at that corresponding section. Therefore, you can see that so deflection at B in the real beam is equal to bending moment at B in conjugate beam. So YB is the deflection at B in the real beam. That's equal to, first we have to take this area. The total area is half into base is L minus PL by EI into, so we have to see the distance between the center of this load into the section where we wanted to find the, where we have to take the bending moment, that in turn gives the deflection. So therefore, X bar is equal to, from here to here is 2/3 of L. Now you can see that half into L into minus PL by EI into X bar is 2/3 of L. So half into L into minus PL by is the area of that loading into X bar distance. That will give the deflection in the free end. So whatever the bending moment, you can see that bending moment at B in the conjugate beam is giving the deflection in the corresponding section in the original beam. Now we'll move on to the problem number 2. Calculate the slope and deflection at free end of a cantilever beam subjected to uniformly distributed load throughout the length. Now you can see that you have a fixed support, a free end, it's subjected to uniformly distributed load. We know that the bending moment diagram for this one is parabolic spandrel. The intensity is, it's always negative again because it's acting clockwise right of the section. Again, the intensity is W into throughout length is L. WL into L by 2, it's called, it becomes a WL square by 2. So then whatever the bending moment diagram, now we already know that conjugate beam, this will become a free and this will become a fixed support. Now you can see that it's a fixed support is here, free end is here. So yeah, WL square by whatever the EA is there, so that will be the WL square by 2EA, that is our M by A diagram. Now you can see that, so since it is negative, that's why it's in the loading M by A diagram is a load into the conjugate beam. It's acting upward direction. If it is negative, it will be acting upward direction. Now you can see the slope at B in real beam is equal to shear force at B in the conjugate beam. So slope at B means this is where we are finding the slope at B, that's equal to the shear force at the conjugate beam. So slope at B, that's theta B, is equal to, so this we know that this is parabolic spandrel. The area of this one, the shear, so suppose I'm taking the section here, so left of the, whatever the load which is left of the section is this much. So that is, so spandrel area 1/3 into length is L into, so whatever the intensity, IS intensity, WL square by 2A, that is negative. So therefore it is minus WL cube by 6A. Then again, deflection at B in the real beam is equal to bending moment at B in the conjugate beam. So now I wanted to find the deflection at B, that's equal to bending moment at the corresponding section in the conjugate beam. So how to take the bending moment for this loading? So whatever the area of this loading, the total intensity, first 1/3 into L into minus WL square by 2A into, so the center is somewhere here. From here to here, what is the distance? X bar. So load into X bar is the bending moment at this section. That will give the deflection at B. That's YB is the deflection at B in the real beam. YB is equal to 1/3 into L into minus WL square by 2A into X bar value. X bar is equal to, from here to here, 3/4 times of L. So already I have given these values in the moment area method. Please look into it. So that will become the minus WL 4 by 88. So that's it, that problem. So we'll move on to next problem. Calculate the slope and deflection at free end using the conjugate beam. Now you can see that again cantilever beam which is subjected to a momented couple at the free end. So again, same, this bending moment sign is given here. So we know that the couple is acting, the bending moment diagram is constant. Whenever the couple is acting, the bending moment diagram is constant. So the intensity is M, that is minus M. Again, it is acting clockwise right of the section, that's why negative. Now it's a cantilever beam, write the first conjugate beam for this cantilever beam. So this will be, this fixed support will become free end, and free support, free end will become a fixed support. So that's what I have written. And again, since it's a negative, it's acting upward. So the intensity is, so since everywhere is EA is constant, therefore M divided by EA is the total intensity. So this is the loading M by A diagram. So once it's in M by A diagram is written, So we have to find the slope at free end. That is the slope at free end and deflection at free end. We have to find it. Slope at free end is equal to theta b. That's equal to shear force at B in the conjugate beam. So when we wanted to find the slope at B, I have to take the shear force at the corresponding section in the conjugate beam. The shear force at corresponding section in the conjugate beam is equal to. So now what is the shear force about this section? So now I wanted to find the shear force about this section. So you see the load. So what is the L? L is the length and intensity is equal to minus m by a. L into minus m by a is the ml minus ml by a is the shear force acting on the left of the section. So it's a acting upward. It's a bending diagram is negative. That's why here negative is coming. And again, the deflection at B in the real beam. So I wanted to find the again deflection here. The deflection in the real beam is equal to again bending moment of m by a diagram about the B in the conjugate beam. That will be the deflection in the real beam. Deflection in real beam is equal to YB is equal to. So first you take this area L into minus m by A, that is into that will be acting at exactly at center L by 2 distance because it's a rectangular. So exactly here will be acting at the center of gravity. From here to here the distance is x bar, that is equal to L by 2. So x bar is equal to L by 2. It's a rectangular, that's why it's a L by 2. So that's the maximum deflection at the free end. Now we'll move on to other problem. Here you can see the 2 point loads are given. Determine the slope and deflection at C. We have to find the slope and deflection at C and also at B of a cantilever beam shown in figure by conjugate beam method. Take E is equal to, E value is given 2 into 10 raised to 5 Newton per mm square, and I is also given 2 into 10 raised to 8 mm per 4. So here the throughout length of the beam is given a constant. The constant value itself, that value, this one. So this is a prismatic beam only. So whenever you have multiple loads like this, so since it's a both are 2 point loads, first we draw the bending diagram for that. So this is a given beam, and so whatever the EI, we multiply the EI, we will get this value 4 into 10 raised to 4 kilonewton meter square. That's converted into meter square. Then again we have to find the bending moment at this section. So since again it says cantilever, bending moment at C is equal to, so 20 into 3 minus 20 into 3 becomes 60. So you can see that I have written here. So 20 into 3, it's a 60. So it's shown here. So again it's a negative. It's a cantilever subject to loading here. So 60 minus 60. So that's what I have written here. Then again bending moment at A is equal to, so calculation is given here, 20 into 6 meter total length minus 10 into 3. 10 into 3. So that will become the 150 kilonewton meter. So again it's a two, both are point loads. It's a linear variation. So we have negative everywhere. So I have split the whole area into 3 parts. This is one area, this one area, this one area. Or else it's left to you. If you can take the whole area at a time. Otherwise, you can make small parts like this. This one small triangular, this one triangle, this one triangle, this rectangle, something like that. Easy to understand. So therefore, it's 60. 150 minus 60 is 90 kilometer. This is a M by A diagram. So after finding the bending moment diagram, so A is constant throughout. So write the M by A diagram. So whatever the 150 is there, 150 divided by EI, 60 divided by EI, 90 divided by EI. So I said that it's split into small areas. Rectangular area 1 I have taken, this one triangular area 2, area 3, and also the corresponding centroids. So this is a rectangular area. The centroid will be at exactly L by 2 distance from on either side. So this is from here to here L by 2. Then it's a 3 meter, whatever. So first we have to write the M by A diagram. Once it's written, we'll move on to find the slope at C. Now I want to find the slope at C, and also, so I have to find the slope at C, deflection at C, and also slope at B and deflection at B. So for that, first we'll look into slope at C in real beam is equal to shear force at C of the conjugate beam. You can see that. So slope at C. So I wanted to find the slope at C. So that's equal to shear force in the conjugate beam. So this is the at C, exactly corresponding section. So what is the shear force in the conjugate beam? So only we have two loads, A1 plus A2. So this will be 3 meter into 60 by EI. Again 3 meter into sorry, this is a triangular. So 1 by 2 into 3 meter into 90 by 8. So that will be the shear force. You can say that that's what I have explained that. So A1 plus A2 means A1 plus A2. So 3 into minus 60 by A plus 1 by 2 into 3 into minus 90 by A. So that will be the shear slope at C. Again, slope at B. Again, when we want to find the slope at B, so we have to take section here, right? So whatever the loads which are acting left of the section, that will be the shear force at C, such B. So slope at B in the real beam is equal to shear force at B in conjugate beam. So theta B is equal to A1 plus A2 plus A3. So all these were the areas of these loads, given by diagram loading. A1, A2, A3. So areas you just multiply it. So addition of those areas will be the total amount of force acting left of the section. And again, it's a bending negative. It's acting upward direction. It's due to the negative bending moment diagram. So it's a negative value. Now deflection at C. So deflection at C means again here we wanted to find the deflection. So exactly here we wanted to find deflection, right? To find the deflection at C, deflection at C. Sorry, this is C, not the B. Deflection at C is equal to bending moment at C in the conjugate beam. So bending moment at C. So how to write the bending moment at, how to calculate the bending moment at C? So how to find the bending moment at C? So first, so I wanted to find the bending moment at C. So first, whatever this area 1, first find the total load 3 into 6 into 60 into 60 divided by EI. That into from here to distance whatever the x bar. So 3 divided by 2 is 1.5 meter. Again here also 1 by 2 into 3 meter into 90 by EI, that's minus, into from here to here distance is 2 by 3 of 3 meter, whatever there. So that's the bending moment of M diagram about this C, that will give the deflection at C in the original beam. You can see that the same thing is written here, 3 into minus 60 divided by A into 1.5 plus 1 by 2 into 3 into minus 90 divided by A into 2 by the terms of 3. So that will give the, after simplification, we'll get this value. Again, deflection at B, the deflection at B in the real beam is equal to bending moment at B in the conjugate beam. So now you can see that these values, I will explain this in the diagram. So deflection, here I wanted to find the deflection. To find the deflection here, I have to take the bending moment about the same section in the conjugate beam. So this is the conjugate beam. So bending moment about the this section in the conjugate beam. So we have 3 areas. Take the bending moment of each area about this section B. That will be the your deflection. You can check it. So this first area into centroid to B, second area into centroid to B, third area into the distance between the centroid and the section B. So that will be the deflection in the real beam. So again, you can see that here is a non-prismatic beam. So till now we have discussed only the prismatic beam where EI is constant throughout. Now you can see that to determine the slope and deflection of the loaded cantilever beam shown in figures, we have to determine the slope and deflection at C and also at B using the conjugate beam method. Now we can see that here it's given 2I, here I, and it's subjected to 10 kN in here, 1 kN per meter, whatever may be the loadings. And EA is given 3 into 10 raised to 4 kN meter square. So whenever we have like this combination of loads like UDL and point load, we will separate that. So first we'll take same cantilever beam 2I and subjected to point load plus again same cantilever beam. So uniform distributed load only first up portion. Then we know that the point load is acting. We know the bending moment diagram. So 10 into 7 meter is 70 kN meter. So we know 10 into 3 is 30. You can take it from here to here. Right. This is my linear variation because the point load. So 10 into 3 is a 30. 10 into 7 is 70. 70 minus 30 is 40. Remaining this is all this are negative. Right. Again here we can see that it's acting only first up portion, the UDL. So whenever we have the UDL, we know that the bending moment diagram varies as a parabolic spandrel. It's a parabolic spandrel. right? So now you can see that the highest intensity here is WL square by 2. So W is L, the W is 1 here. So L square is 4 square 16 divided by 2 is 8 kN. So it's again a negative. This is called a Benjamin diagram or M diagram. So after this, finding this M diagram, so we'll move on to, you can see that here 2 here. So we have to find the, after finding the Benjamin diagram, we have to find the M by I diagram. So this is the M by I diagram. So we can find this M by I diagram by dividing the M value by EI. So now you can see the total intensity is 70 here, 70 divided by 2 EI, because here we have the 2 EI in this length. So 70 divided by 2 is 30 by EI. That's equal to, here also 30 is there, 30 divided by 2 is 15 by EI. Here 40 is there, 40 divided by 2 is 20 by EI. So everything is reduced because here it's divided by 2A. Then again, when it comes to change of cross section, here 2A is there, I is there. So whatever the minimum value is here, 30 kN, that should be divided by both 2A and I. EI. So you can see that here we have right of the section, just right of the section is EI, right? That's why I'm considering, so 30 divided by 1 EI is 30 divided by EI only. And again, right, just left of this section is here. You see that this is a section where change of cross section takes, just left of the section we have 2A, just right of the section is I. So we have the value here is 30 kN, that divided by I, that becomes a 30 divided by A only, and just left of the section 30 divided by 2A, it becomes a 15 divided by A. So that's why I have shown that the section C 30 divided by A and also 15 divided by A, just change of, because of change of cross section here. So here also we have the M by A also changes here. Now again, when it comes to this diagram, again whatever the 8 kN is there, that divided by 2 EI, that becomes 8 divided by 2 is 4 EI, right? So you can see that here we do not have any loading, right? Only in this portion 2 EI we can depend it. So after obtaining the M by diagram, we have to find the slope at C. Slope at C means here we have to find. So slope at C, this is the slope at C we have to find. Sorry. Slope at C, here we have to find it. Again here we have to consider both the diagrams. So slope at C is equal to shear force at C in conjugate beam. This we know that from the principle of first theorem of conjugate beam method. So slope at C is equal to whatever the forces which are acting. Here I am taking this section. Here also I am taking this section. So whatever the forces which are acting left of the section, here also left of the section, that will be the shear force in the conjugate beam. These are the conjugate beams. So what are the areas? Area 1, area 2, area 4. So only you can see that A1, A2, A4. So area 1 is 4 into minus 15 by A, is correct, plus 4 into minus 20 by A. Sorry, it's a triangular. 1 by 2 into 4 into minus 20 by A, plus here again it's a parabolic spandrel. It is minus 1 by 3 into 4 into 8 by 2A or 4 by A. So simplify this, we'll get this value. Again, we'll move on to next step. We want to find the slope at B. Slope at B means here we have to find the slope. Sorry. Oh, yeah. Here we have to find the shear force in the conjugate beam that will give the slope at original beam at B. So here we have to find the uh, slope at B, right? So for that we have to take the shear force at B. Here we have to take the shear force. Here we have to take the shear force. So you can see that slope at B is equal to, slope at B is equal to shear force at B in the conjugate beam. So shear force at B is, first we'll take this diagram area. So when we have to find the shear force at B, so the whole M by A diagram left of that section is to be considered. So area 1, area 2, area 3, yeah, and again here also in this one you have to find the here shear force. So only one area is there, A4, A1 plus A2 plus A3 plus A4, all are negative only. And again, so whatever the areas, 4 into 15, 1 by 2 into 20 into 4, 1 by 2 into Again, here also you have to consider 1 by 2 into 3 into 30. Again, here also 2 by 3 into, sorry, 1 by 3 into 4 into 8 divided by 2a. You see that values here. So minus 4 by 15 by a. Here is the minus 4 by 15 by a first area, plus minus 1 by 2 into 4 into 20 by a, minus 1 by 2 into this triangular area, 4 into 20 by a, plus minus 1 by 2 into 3 into 30 by a, this one, the third triangle here. So minus 1 by 2 into 3 into 30 by a, then again plus minus 1 by 3 into 4 into 4 by a. So this area. So are these values will be the shear force on the left of the section of the B, that will be the slope at B. So the final value is this much. Deflection at C. So deflection at C, that is YC is equal to bending moment at C in the conjugate beam. Now you can come to here. So deflection at C I wanted to find. Here exactly here I wanted to find the deflection. So that will be obtained when we take the bending moment about C. Here again bending moment about C in the conjugate beam. So bending moment at C, bending moment about C. So we see the values. So again same area 1 into 2 meter. So that is this area into from here to here distance is 2 meter. Then again area 2 from here to here is 2 by 3 times of L is 4 meter. You can see that 2 by 3 times of 4. Then again this parabolic spandrel into 3 by 4 times of L. This is, so we are taking about moment about this one. Therefore from here to here is for 3 by 4 times of 4 meter and corresponding areas. Right, that will be the deflection at C. And deflection at B we have to find it at the free end. Deflection at B is equal to bending moment at B in the conjugate beam. So again, as usual, YB is equal to YB is the deflection at C in the real beam is equal to, we have to take the area moments of areas about the B in the conjugate beam, minus 4 into 15 by A into 3 plus 2, that is this is a minus 4 into 15 by first area into from here to here distance is 3 plus from here to here is 2, 3 plus 2. Then again take this area and take moment of this load about the B, that will be the area, that's a moment of the area 2 about the B. Then again moment of the area 3. So half into base is 3 meter into 30 divided by A into from here to here is 2 by 3 times of 3. You can see that 2 by 3 times of 3. Again last one is on the right hand side minus 1 by 3 into 4 into 4 divided by 3. 3 by 4 times of 4 plus 3. So you can see that from here to here is 3 by 4 times of 4 plus 3. So that's how we have to take the moment of loading diagrams about the B. That finally after simplification this would be the answer. So in the next session we'll discuss about the simply supported beams.